Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili nishmasi mi marasi rus pas Mordechai. Omer Rav Yosef. Hani tartem mili Omer Rabbi Svarim. There are two halachas that Rav said in the hilchos of Stam of Sefer Torah. V'tanya tiyufte, and we have big questions on him. Chada. The first one is Chada Omer Rav. Rav said, Sefer Torah sheyesh bo shtei tu'uyos b'chol daf v'daf yitaken shalish yiganes. If on every single amud, a column, how many columns or boisai are there in a typical Sefer Torah today? Anybody know the answer? 245. How many rows per column? 42 on average. Typical Sefer Torah, 245. Goes when you buy Sefer Torah, they go by the amud. They tell you, I want $1,000 a amud, 1,000 shekel a amud, 10,000, whatever the guy wants. It goes by the amud. So if in each amud there's 2 mistakes, you can fix it. 3, no fixing, toss it. You have to be goynez it. What's the problem? The problem is shalish yitak and arbe goynez. This is what we stick with. That the amount is 4 mistakes, not 3. Rav said 3 mistakes. You have to put it in gniza. It's really 4. Tana, if there's one out of 245 that's good and doesn't have mistakes, matzelas al kuloi, so it could the Sefer Torah survives. You can fix the rest. He said in the name of Rav, that is that there's not more than 5-6 mistakes per amud. And what if the best out of all the hamudim? This is Noir Vayim. There's a lot of mistakes. If the best column has 3 mistakes, and that you're allowed to fix those 3, is that considered a saving amud? Since you're permitted to fix it, you fix it. So now that it's fixed, it's good, and it's a good amud, and it could save the rest. When can you fix it if letters are missing? I'm sorry. When is it problematic and only up to 4 when words are missing? If he added a letter here, a letter there, it's not a problem. Why? Because you just scrape it off and you don't have that letter. So what's the problem with missing? So first of all, very interesting. Yesterday the guy promised us that he has a copy of this, so here it is. Here's that mezuzah, v'achalta, and he even puts it in his notes on the side. It says, the owner of this mezuzah kept on eating and never got full. That's a yasser. This is a chaser. Pen yafe levavchem. So instead of yifte, it says yafe. You have a nice heart.
You can't change your mezuzah.
Yeah, right. Correct. Tefillin and mezuzahs, you can't do these fixes. These are all halachas in Sefer Torah. I'm just showing examples of chaser and yaser. So he says, what's the problem of chaseros? There's an issue of zakeli vamveu, and when you have something like this, look. What are you going to do? You're going to put the reish on top over there. You're going to add a letter, so it looks like a spotted leopard. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look. What's the word I'm looking for? Not symmetrical. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. You get the idea. It doesn't look good. The bottom line is it doesn't look good. And that's all it is. What? No. Says the Gemara story. Ma'aseh sha'oyo agro chamua de Rabbi Abba havale yiseres b'sifrei. The father-in-law of Rabbi Abba had extra, like 4 letters in every amud. Also coming to Rabbi Abba. So the father-in-law goes to the son-in-law. If it's extra, you just take a knife or something and you peel it off. It pops right off, and that's okay. Okay, so that was one halacha that's not like Rav. That what? Rav said 3 mistakes you have to put in Geniza, and the halacha is it's 4. What's the other one? Idach Damar Rav, HaKoysev Sefer Torah Bal Ligmar. You're done with the Sefer Torah. How do you finish it off? What's the best way to finish it off? So lechatchila, you should finish off a Sefer Torah as the last line, the last word should be at the last line, at the last available space. It should just fill up the whole Amud perfectly. That's lechatchila. Now today, I was at a Sefer, and he showed me a beautiful trick that they have. They have this, they have like a, I don't know how it works. I'm trying to think how it worked. It was something with a light that shines, that you put your cloth and you put something below it, and the light shines, and basically you see the outline of all the letters on your cloth. All you have to do is trace it. It's very good, not for the tzura of the eyes, but it's very good for the spacing. You know exactly how wide each word should be. So it's not like you get to the end of the line and oops, I have this much missing. I have to stretch that reish a lot, and have to. They use that for tefillin, for mezuzahs. I don't know if they use it for Sefer Torah. Probably. There's different tricks. Some people just take a piece of paper and they put it next to it and they see. There's a lot of things that you could do with today's technology. But in those days, you get to the end of Sefer Torah. Now you have 40 lines left. What are you going to do? Is that okay to finish the Sefer Torah with all that empty space? And is it okay to finish in middle of a line? You could finish off a Sefer Torah even in middle of a page like this. In the middle of a page. You have all that empty space. So the problem is, it says, you shouldn't do, you shouldn't finish in the middle of the page if you're doing like the four chumashim. Ella, when you're in the last chumash, mikatzer v'hoylech at soif adaf. You see that you're running out of time. You see you're running out of words. What do? Here, do something like this. You have to get to the bottom. Now what do? So each line you go less and less and less words until you get to the bottom. Then you call Yisrael. I mean, you have to be a genius to make it look like that. According to other sheets, other Rishonim, it's you start in the beginning of the row. It's more like it's the same as the left side, but it's not a cone. It's like a triangle, but a awkward triangle. Like it's okay, you get the idea. The right side is straight, the left side is in an angle. Fine. It seems like Rashi later on doesn't. This is Rashi's picture. Rashi says kozeh. And he said, so it seems like this is Rashi's drawing, but later on it could be that Rashi says a little different. Okay, we'll see. Akopanim. So we have a problem here. How does Rav say that you can finish the Sefer Torah in the middle of a page? It says over here you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the page. Rav said you could stop in the middle of the page. He's talking about, in those days, imagine, they didn't have the printing press. Everything had to be handwritten. So you had a chumash at home. It was one volume, Bereshis. Okay, the end of Bereshis could be, you can finish in the middle of it. It's not a Sefer Torah. What's Sefer Torah Kalmar? That's a great answer, but Rav says mafurish the words, HaKoysev Sefer Torah, Baligmar, he's writing a Sefer Torah. Says the Gemara, but Chumashim says Sefer Torah. It means, we're not talking about a Novit, we're talking about a Chumash of a Sefer Torah. Very good, that's a nice try. Rav says, Le'eini Kol Yisrael. He's referring to the end of a Sefer Torah. It says Mefurish, Le'eini Kol Yisrael, the last words of a Sefer Torah. B'emtza Daf, he says, it could be in the middle of the page. Says the Gemara, we must say he's talking about a middle of a line. In other words, you're finishing it off. Let's see if I even have it here. Like this. The last line, it doesn't go to the end. That's not Geferlich. At least he got to the bottom of the page. Rabbanan say it's not a problem that you could go in the middle of the line, and you could even go in the middle of a page. Finish off in the middle of a page. No, you can't finish off in the middle of a page. You have to finish off dafka at the end of the middle. If you finish in the middle of a line, that's okay. That you could do dafka b'emtza shita dafka. You could finish off in the middle of a line, but not in the middle of the page. Omer Rav Yeshua bar Abba, Omer Rav Gidol, Omer Rav. We're talking about this right over here. The last 8 psukim in red of the Torah. Do not give out 2 aliyahs. Don't try to be nice to somebody and say, oh, it's the end of the Torah, we're going to do a mini, a vice chosen Torah. Sofas at that. No. The last 8 psukim have to be read by one aliyah. Why? Because they're different than the rest of the Torah, as we're going to see. It has to stand out that this is special. This is different. It's unique. Why? Kiman, the like Reb Shimon. L'chayra, this doesn't go like Reb Shimon by Yachai. This is Anya. In the Psukim it says that Moshe Rabbeinu died over there. Ask the Gemara, Efsha Moshe Chai, because of Yamas Shram Moshe. How could Moshe write it when he's alive? Elad Kan because of Moshe. So it must be that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't write all that red, all the 8 Psukim. Mikam ve'elach kosav Yeshua benun, Divi Rabbi Yehuda. B'amri lo Rabbi Nechemia. So one sheet is the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemia, that Yehoshua wrote those 8 psukim. Rav Moshe Feinstein explains that this is different than Sefer Yeshua that Yeshua wrote. This is given directly from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yeshua was a nevuah, it's a navi. This is Torah. This is different. It's a different level. Something else. Directly from Hashem. Omer Rabbi Shimon, Efshar Sefer Torah Chazarah Isachas. Says Reb Shimon Achai, I don't like your pshat. It's impossible that Yeshua ben Nun wrote the last 8 psukim. If a Sefer Torah is missing one letter, it's no good. Moshe Rabbeinu says, take this complete Sefer Torah and put it in the Aron. So how is it possible it's missing 8 psukim? If one letter is missing, he wouldn't say, take the Sefer Torah. It's not a Sefer Torah yet. It's missing 8 psukim. The entire Torah, it says on the side over here that v'omer. It says on the side that Moshe said and then he read, then he wrote. Moshe repeats and then he writes down. Moshe Rabbeinu writes it b'dema. He didn't say it. What does it mean? Zok Rashi. So Rashi is saying that he was crying when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him he's going to die. In other words, he's not going to go into Eretz Yisrael. He had a lot of tsar, so he didn't repeat it, and that answers the question that it's not a lie. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it. He wrote it. The same thing with Yirmiyah telling over to Baruch ben Neriah. He didn't want to say it over because it's the kinas, it's the churban. It wasn't good stuff, so he wrote it. There's different pirushim here, but according to the Vilna Gaon, it was something like this. Bedema just means that there's no spaces. That was mixed up. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what Hashem told him. Hashem said, right, tzaddik, vav, this, that. He just went in a and it wasn't for him to read. It wasn't for him to know. It was there. And Yeshua came and separated. Now, if you take a good look, I don't think it's that difficult to, especially look at the last words. Moshe le'enei kol Yisrael. I guess if you really want to pay attention and focus. But Moshe Rabbeinu realized that Kosh Baruch Hu didn't want him to understand what's going on. He didn't want him to say, you're dead, you're dying. So Kosh Baruch Hu told him, Moshe, but it said, Mem Shinei, Mem Tov, this, and it kept on going. So that's why Moshe, Bedema means that it was mixed, and Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what it was. And Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it. Lema like Reb Shimon. But upon him, Reb Shimon says that it's Moshe Rabbeinu that wrote all these 9 psukim. So if it's Moshe Rabbeinu that wrote all these 8 psukim, why can't you make it 2 aliyahs? What's the difference? Why is it different? Says Gemara, if you take Reb Shimon, no, it could be Reb Shimon. Shtani. But it's different. It was wrote b'dema, whatever dema means, with the tears, with it was mixed up, whatever it is. It's different. And since it's different, we don't give it to 2 different people. One person reads it. V'am Reb Shimon usugit. V'am Reb Shimon bar Abba Omer Rav Gidol Omer Rav. Halokeach sefer Torah min hashuk kechoitef mitzvah min hashuk. Says Rashi, here, this Rashi I found, K'chayda mitzvah, mitzvah avad. It's a mitzvah. But because of a mitzvah, Yiseret Tfei. If you write your own Sefer Torah, it's a greater mitzvah. If you buy it on eBay, you chap the mitzvah. You chap the mitzvah. But it's a greater mitzvah to write it yourself. If you wrote a Sefer Torah, he went through the effort, writing a whole Sefer Torah, 308,000, something like that, 05, something, words, letters, a lot. And that's what we do today. We go to Ksiva Sefer Torah. If you fixed up a Sefer Torah, even one letter, interesting you say there that you finished it off. It was a Apostle Sefer Torah. You finished that one letter and you made it the Sefer Torah. Boom! It becomes yours. Kilo. Simon Segalam. Torah Rabbanon. Ois Adam Yiriyo Mibas Sholish Dapim V'Ad Bash Shmoyne Dapim. A daf is an amud. You know those guys that do the big hagbas. How many amudim are there on each piece of parchment? Minimum of 3, maximum of 8. Don't do less than 3. Don't do more than 8. Don't make them very narrow because that looks like a letter. And don't make them very wide because imagine you get to the end of the row and then you don't know where the next row starts and you're going to start, your eyes start going up and down to catch where you are. Elo kegoin the mishpachos seichem says it 3 times there. The mishpachos seichem, something like this. In other words, that there should be approximately 30 letters per row, including 2 spaces, including some of them are yuds and vavs, approximately 30. Not 40, not 25, approximately 30. Let's say you have somebody's telling me now that he wrote a Sefer Torah and he hired a special guy to get him the Yeriyos. It's a chachma, how to get beautiful cloth. You pay a guy, in addition to the $250 that it costs per Yeriyah, you pay a guy another $30 for each one that he chooses for you. So you have this very wide Yeriyah. What do you do with it? Now, you should only have 8 amudim, but this is good for 9. So you got to cut it. You could cut 9, 3, 3, 3, 7 and 2, 5 and 4, whatever you want to do. 6 and 3, what do you do? You shouldn't do 6 and 3. It's a lot more symmetrical when it's 4 and 5 rather than 6, a larger one and a smaller one. It's all about noi, it's all about zekeli bambeyu. When should you make these very narrow, very wide in the beginning? So something like this, let's say, this is a little narrower. You're at the last pasuk. You have one pasuk and a whole amud. What do? So you stretch it. You go like this. You make it each word like on a line, and it's a stretch. As the Gemara, but that's not good. Pasuk echad so gadaitach. You didn't do the whole page. We said you should get to the bottom. Look how much room there's over there. Says the Gemara, pasuk echad b'daf echad. What you do is this. You stretch it, and you make it taller. Each letter is giant, and Bekitzer, he did 12 words, an entire amud. Shir Gilyon. There's a certain shir per the Gilyon. The margin, thank you. And this is all for Noi, should look beautiful. Milamato tevach, what? So to make it beautiful, here we go. The bottom should have a tefach. Milamala shalish etzbois, 3 fingers. Ubein dav ledav kemoi revach roichav shtei etzbois. Rabbi side. Back to this. In between each thing, each almond is 2 fingers worth. You see over here, 2 fingers. Over here it's 3. On the top it's 3. Over here between it's 2. Ubechumashim milamata shalish etzbois, and then you have a chumash at home, like a handwritten chumash. 3 etzbois on the bottom. Milamalish etzbois, and on top 2. Ubein dav ledav kemoi revach roichav gudol. And on a chumash, between each one, it should be the width of a thumb. Ubein shita l'shita kemoi shita. And between every row, there should be the size of a row. In between the rows. Ubein teva l'teva, between each word, kemoi ois ktana, like the size of a yud should fit in between each word. Ubein ois lois, and between each letter, kemoi chut asara, as long as you could put a hair's width. Al Yemayet Odom Esaksav. Let's say you don't have enough room. You realize you don't have enough room. Don't make the font smaller. Because you're running out of space on the bottom. Because you're running out of space on top. Because you're running out of space between the lines. Because you need space between different parashas. If you have a 5-letter here, something like this. So Hamenoira over here is 5 letters. This is no good what he did right over here because the majority of the word is outside. This also applies to 7-letter thing. It's not about how many letters are outside. You can put 3 letters outside, provided that it's a 7-letter word. So 4 inside, 3 outside. The point is that the majority of the word should be inside. As so, if you do Hey Mem Nun inside and Reish Hey outside, that's great. Ushtayim Chuzadaf says Tosfos Omer Rentam the Shem Tzorch Shea Kula B'Sechadaf says Tosfos that the Shem Hashem can never be on the margins. Right? Is that the word Avi that I'm looking for? Past the line? Outside the margins. What if he has a 2-letter word like the word kale? If I can find it. Here. Now, Yoshi did it based on you can never put a full word outside of the margin. So we're talking about that little bit is in the margin. The aleph, the little part of the aleph. You shouldn't put it between the columns. Take a look over here. He took the kale, or El. Sorry, it's El Mizbeach. And he put it over there. You start a new row with it. Fine. Hatoy b'shem, Rabbi Yisai, nu sugya. Hatoy b'shem. A person makes a mistake with Shem Hashem. It happens a lot. It's a very hard job. You're right. And then you make a mistake, and then you have to throw out everything you wrote. It's terrible stuff. Goyres mashikosav. What do? You wait until the ink dries. He forgot to write Hashem's name. And there's another word in there. So, he did a nice job here. Here. Right over here. Kasher tziva Hashem is Moshe. It's supposed to say Hashem, and it's missing. Right over there. So what do? It's already dry. So you take a knife, whatever you do, and you scratch it right off. Scratch it off. You put Hashem's name in there. But now you're missing the word tziva. Where does tziva go? Tziva goes on top. That's called toila. Toila means to put on top. Goyis mashikosav. Toila is mashigora. And you put the word that you cut out, you put on top. Toila means put on top. Because if it's Hashem al Mukoim Agrar, you put Hashem's name inside the row, inside the line. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. By the way, again, like Rabbi Shlomo pointed out before, this is a Sefer Torah, not on Tefillin. Rabbi Yossi Omer Tefillin, you got to toss. Rabbi Yossi Omer Af Toilin Es Hashem. Rabbi Yossi says it's not a problem. You could put Hashem's name on top. So you put Siva, and all you do is put Hashem's name on top. That's a kula. Rabbi Yitzchak Omer Af Moichik V'Koyzev. This is the biggest kula that you don't have to wait until the ink dries. You just take a cloth and you take I guess it smears up a little bit, not the best, and then you write Hashem's name. Rabbi Shimon Shizuri Omer. Remember, Rabbi Shimon Shizuri is an important because we're going to talk about what it said. They say halach is like him, and we want to know what the halach is like him. Kol Hashem kuloi toilim. Only if you put Hashem's name completely like as so, Hashem's name on top. Mix also in toilim. If like part of it is in the line, you have a little room, so you're going to go like between the tziv, you're going to Hashem, and then on top go like that. Not good. Shimon ben Elazar, ein koyzes Hashem lo al mikoim gurar v'lo mikoim machak ben dolin oisai. Rabbi said, check this out. Says Remeir, you're not going to erase any word. You're not going to add a word on top. You're not going to. So what do? There's nothing you can do. Take it and put it in Gniza. But you know what's interesting? Think about it for a second. Why do you have to take out the whole urea and throw it out? He wrote a whole bunch of stuff to the right of it. No. So the answer is, if there's in fact 3 whole rows to the right of it, then you take a scissors and you just cut it. Now you have a 3. But if there isn't, if there's only 2 rows to the right of it, so you have to throw out all 3 rows. The point is, we said before, you have to have a minimum of 3 rows. So if it's like number 7, so it's not a problem. You cut what? Columns. What did I say? No, columns. Our boy said columns. I said the wrong word. If there's 3 columns to the right, then you don't need to throw the whole urea out, the whole parchment out. You just take a scissor, you take a blade and you cut it nicely, and you attach another one, you keep on going. But if you don't have 3 full rows to the right, you only have 2 columns to the right, then you throw out the whole parchment. The halacha is you're allowed to put Hashem's name on top of I've never seen it, but you're allowed to put it top. Somebody said over here that people are makbid on Sefer Torah. I don't want any mistakes on Hashem, in these kind of things. Write me a new one. Write me a new urea. The halacha is, and this is how we paskin, you're allowed to erase and write. Why don't they just say straight out? The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. Umar halacha kemar. The halacha is Rabbi Yitzchak. Because we're not certain that Rabbi Yossi really said he's the one that said this and Rabbi Yitzchak said that. There's some that say that they said the opposite. It was Rabbi Yitzchak that said it, not Rabbi Yossi. Okay. Omar Robin Bar Chanina, Omar Ula, says the name of Omar Bar Chanina. Halacha. By me it says Chanina. Oh, that I said. Omar Robin Bar Chanina, Omar Ula, Omar Bar Chanina. Halacha Reb Shimon Shizuri. The halacha is like Reb Shimon Shizuri. That what? Don't put half of Hashem's name on one row and then the other half on top. Put the whole thing on top. Everywhere he says something, the Allah is like him. Ahaya, what does it mean? Where? What are you referring to? This one right over here. You're referring to Hashem's name. They put the entire Hashem's name on top of the row, in between the rows, but not a little bit below, a little bit on top. But we said, in the name of Rav, halacha toilen es Hashem, you're allowed to put the name of Hashem on top. You're allowed to erase and write. And if you write, that halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shizuri. That what you can't do half and half. Who nami lema? Why don't they bring that in there also as one of the things? The halacha is you're allowed to erase. The halacha is you're allowed to put Hashem's name on top. And the halacha is do not put it half and half. Elah, referring to this famous halacha. We're talking about a ben pekuah. Rabbi said ben pekuah. Ben pekuah is when you shecht an animal, a mother, and you find in her stomach you find a live vlad. Comes out and it lives its life. You're allowed to eat it without shechita because the shechita of the mother is the shechita of the baby, even though it got to live, and even 5 years later, even got to live for 5 years. Our boys say, take a look at this ben pekuah. Maybe make it a little lower. I like the eyes of the cow, they're blue. Yosem, ego. This is Chesley, Dosoy. So you let it eat it without shechita. Says the Gemara, no, it can't be this halacha that Shimon Shizuri said. Hoyt ma'alah ziri omer b'chanina halacha Shimon Shizuri v'im isa hunamin leima. He should say not only Ziri says this, but also Ravin Bar Chanina says in the name of Ula. All right. Let's stop right over here. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.